Armed bodyguards accompany Eliezer Marubo as he returns to the Javari Valley Reserve. It's a 700-kilometer boat ride into the heart of Brazil's Amazon, a territory the size of Austria, home to the world's largest number of uncontacted indigenous peoples.
It's a risky journey. Many indigenous leaders like me have received death threats for trying to protect the valley from poachers, miners, and drug traffickers. But it's a journey we have to make. We're holding an annual assembly to discuss our future and survival.
Hundreds of indigenous leaders have gathered to participate in the 3-day conference at the Paraná village. They represent 7 different tribes, some of them at war with each other not long ago. Now they're united against common enemies, those who are invading their lands.
Security is at the top of our agenda, but we're also discussing how to provide proper health care and education for the inhabitants of the valley, as well as projects for sustainable development.
Just getting these various groups together in one place is very difficult to organize. Some of these people have traveled up to 7 days in a small boat like this just to reach the Paraná village and participate in the assembly. And they could do it because it's the wet season. In the dry season, it's very difficult to navigate the river. The logistics is complicated and involves stocking up on food and 2,000 liters of fuel. There are no roads, no petrol stations, and there's always the risk of being attacked by river pirates.
Recently, pirates grabbed 2 indigenous men who were driving a boat from the health ministry, distributing medicine to the villagers. The pirates threw them into the water. We were warned by a couple who were passing by and saw what happened. It took us time to get there, and we were lucky to find one alive.
In the past, the Javari inhabitants relied mostly on NGOs to purchase equipment for their surveillance teams and to provide internet access to the villagers. Former right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro dismantled government agencies that were in charge of protecting indigenous rights, and many observers believed he turned a blind eye on the exploitation of valuable resources in protected areas.
A lot of times we think about protecting the rainforest as something pleasant, something interesting, something scientifically compelling, but it's a war on the ground. And these guys are on the front lines.
Since leftist President Lula da Silva took office in January, indigenous leaders say they're hopeful things will change and that Brazil's government will take its constitutional responsibilities seriously to protect its indigenous population. One sign of new times was the visit by Supreme Court President Rosa Weber on the final day of the meeting. She arrived by helicopter to hear their grievances and demands.
I'm committed to protecting the Amazon, and that is why my first trip as Supreme Court President has been to this valley. I want to know firsthand what is going on here.
At the conclusion of the meeting, the Javari tribes came up with a 3-year plan. It includes pressuring the government to build more outposts to protect their lands, as well as training doctors and teachers to work in the reserve. Later this month, many of these leaders will travel to the capital, Brasilia, to participate in a campout with indigenous representatives from across Brazil. They want to make sure that any promises made by the government will be backed with action. Monica Yanakiew, Al Jazeera, Javari Valley, Brazil.
The leaders of China and Brazil are scheduled to meet in Beijing